I will present a web security chapter 1 introductions. Domain and subdomain. UTHM domain and subdomain used in our project are uthm.edu.my, rmc.edu.my, smaconline.uthm.edu.my, icc.uthm.edu.my, and author.uthm.edu.my. And this is the uthm.edu.my is the official portal of UTHM, and the rmc.uthm.edu.my is the research center management, and the SMAC online is for the student use, and the ICC is the innovations and commercialization center, and the author is the dash is something like a platform communication between lecturers and student. The second assessment is the vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment is a systematic review of the security weakness of an information system. It determines vulnerability assessment determine whether the system is vulnerable to any no vulnerability. If find any no vulnerability, we assign a security level to those vulnerability and recommend remediation or mitigation when necessary. And there is a four main type of vulnerability assessment. The first type is application scan, second is host assessment, third is network and virus assessment, and the lastly is the database assessment. And next is experiment is penetration testing. Penetration testing is a simulation of a network attack on a computer system to check for a possible vulnerability. Is typically referred to as pen testing in the field of web security. And penetration testing is usually used to argue web application firewall (WAF). And there is a 5-stage of penetration testing. The first stage is planning and reconnaissance. This stage is test goals are defined and intelligence is gathered. The second stage is scanning. Scanning tools are used to understand how a target respond to intrusions. And the third stage is gaining access. Gaining access is web application attack as stage to uncover a target vulnerability. The next stage is maintaining access. Maintaining access APT are immediate to see if a vulnerability can be used to maintain access. And the last stage is the analysis and WAF configuration. And this stage is result used to configure the WAF setting before testing is run again. And chapter 2, literature review. And SQL injection on the SQLi. And indeed, we need to use a local host server to conduct or carry out these SQL injections experiment. And the tool we use is the SAMPP application. Because SAMPP primarily include an Apache HTTP server, MariaDB database, or is a MySQL database in SAMPP, and interpreter for script writing in PHP. And second tool used in the SQL injection is a Visual Studio Code for coding a PHP file. And because Visual Studio Code support a list of extension like NSSQL extension for querying an SQL server, Azure SQL database, and PHP IntelliSense with a path to a PHP at least 7 executable. And Visual Studio Code also enable built-in PHP validations. And second experiment is the information gathering, and there is several type of tool used to conduct information gathering, such as the command line tool and the online tool. Command line tool has an NS lookup and nnet. For online tool has nmat.online, view dns.info, center or p.net. NS lookup is used to find the IP address that corresponds to a host or the domain name that corresponds to an IP address. NS lookup retrieves the relevant address information directly from the DNS cache of a name server. And NS lookup has two modes. One is an interactive mode, another is a non-interactive mode. For the interactive mode, different DNS server for the research and complete more complex search process, we use the interactive mode. For a non-interactive mode, suit for a simple query, for which a single domain entry need to be looked up. And this is a several example of an NS lookup command and its usage. And second is an nmat. Nmat is a free open source tool for vulnerability scanning, network discovery, and security update. And it performs a task such as a network inventory, managing service upgrade schedule, and monitoring host service uptime. And it uses raw IP packet to determine which devices are running on which operating system, to discover a reliable open port, to detect a security risk for website or network scan, to discover a reliable host on the network, and the type of firewall or filter for those hosts to access this service offer. And this is the several example of an nmat command. And the nmat online is similar to the nmat because is more simply than the nmat, because we only enter the domain name or the IP address and choose the scan method. Then the nmat online offers scanning like fast scan, ping scan, port scan, scan OS information, trace router, and OS detections. And second online tool is a view DNS. info, and DNS info gather a large amount of data about a given website or IP address, such as reverse IP lookup, DNS reporting, get HTTP header, trace router, DNS record lookup, ping IP story, reverse NS lookup, report scan, and more. And third is a centerop.net. Centerop.net is a free online network scanner that investigates domain and IP address, DNS record, trace router, NS lookup, whois search, and the next software tool used is a Nessus used to carry out vulnerability assessment. Nessus is a remote security scanning tool that scans a computer and alert if it finds any vulnerability that malicious hacker can exploit to gain access to any computer that is connected to the network. And Bruce is the tool used to carry out penetration testing, and Bruce is developed by a Prost rigger and is often used to check the level of the security of web application. And the facility provided Bruce for a specific tests like scanner, intruder, repeater, collaborator, client, pre-embedded sequences, decode, and comparators.
First domain is uthm.edu.my. The command line and slookup used for search for IP address, and map search for open port, and whois search for the host. Online tools also used to get the same information: IP address, whois, and port scanner. Web OS version is Apache 2.4.6. The information from cookies is get from the site, which is these two pictures and the two pictures. So these four pictures show the information from the cookies of the site. So this is the result of the main page of the site by using the Burp Suite. This is the result from Burp Suite for the login page of the uthm.edu domain. So this is the footprinting of the domain, which shows the name, description, phone number, email, and address for the domain, and the DNS record, service scan for the port, and the last one is vulnerability assessment, which is taken by the Nessus. Second domain is imc.uthm.edu.my. First command line and slookup for the IP address, and map for the port scan, and then the whois for searching for the host. Online tools also used to get these three information, and the web OS version is also same Apache 2.4.6. And the information from cookies is also the four picture. So this is the Burp Suite for this domain. The footprinting shows the address, the network record, which shows the details of the domain, which is the range address, the name, and then the country, emails, address, and then also record the DNS and scan for the port. So the last will be vulnerability assessment by Nessus and scan for the vulnerability. The third one is map UTHM. The first NS lookup is used for the IP address 137 and map for the port scanner and whois looking for the host. Online tools search for the same info, and then the web OS is Apache. For the SQL injection on login page, we use this as username and the password, and it is blocked. For the information from the cookies, we got these three picture capture. This is the Burp Suite result for this domain, and then we got the footprinting. Network records show all the details for this domain, DNS record, and the service scan for the port. The vulnerability assessment by the Nessus, we scan, we take the result of the two vulnerabilities.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the fourth domain, which is icc.uthm.edu.my. So for the first method we use to gather the information is the command line. So first in the NS lookup, we can see that the information that we get is the server name and the server address, and also the name of the domain, and also the IP address of the domain. So at the end map, we get another information, which is the open port. Next, we use the online tools to prove that the information that we found using the command line is true. So from here we can see that the IP address is 103.31.34.180, which is same as the NS lookup here. So next, we also can prove that the port is same. Okay, next is the web operation system and also the version. Domain, we have two cookies. The cookies that we find here is using the Nessus, and this is the buzzword. Now we are going to the footprinting. This information we get from the centraops.net. Okay, we can get another other information here, which is the nickname, okay, the country, they register this domain, the address, the phone number, the handphone or the office number, the email. So here again, the service scan also prove that there are only two open port for this domain. So now we going to the fifth domain. So same, we can find the information through the command line nslookup, and this is the address. So now is 0.34.138. Just now is 0.180. The nmap, the open port same on the network is 80 and 443. For the host also same. So now on online tosi, here same is the 0.34.138, same with the NS lookup. The open port also same, 80 and 443. The version for this author is adventure. So because the author we can log in, so we can do the compromise account. So we can see we can use the admin or this code and the password to log in. Here's the information from cookies. The cookie's name is this one, content and the domain path. So we can see that when we use the buzzword to compromise the account, when we open this buzzword and we type anything on the box here, on the username and the password, if someone want to hack and get our information, they can use the buzzword to find this. When they open the buzzword, they can wait us to type our username and also the password. Then they can get our username and the password here directly. The footprinting, see, also the same 0.34.130 is proof again. So here's other information, the address and also the phone number, the email, the mailbox, organization, the role, again the role is the administrator. So here the service scan also prove the method that we use to find the open port is correct, which is 80 and 443.
So the next part is chapter 4 result and discussion. For the first part results, we're using the command line such as nslookup, nmap, and whois. The information we can gather by using the command line is IPv4, IPv6, number of ports, open ports, and the host information. So for the IPv6, IPv4 information, for the www.uthn.edu.my is 103.31.34.251. And we can notice that for all domains, the differences of the IPv4 is only the last part of the IPv4. So for the uthn.edu.my is 251, and for the RMC uthn.edu.my is the 203. For the subnet is 137, for the ICC is 180, and for the order is 138. So there was only the IPv6 address short for the UTHN domain and the IMC domain. We can conclude that all of the domains are in the same LAN, same local area network is based on the IPv4 address, and therefore all the domains have same number of ports and same number of open ports. And the second part for the result is using the online tools such as DNS record lookup, domain whois, and the result we can gather is IPv4, IPv6, IP history, open ports, and the web OS name and the version. So the IPv4 and IPv6 result is same with the when we using the command line, and there was no IP history for all domain, and the number of open ports is different with by using the command lines and the online tools, and later we will discuss this problem in the discussion part. So for the all domain, we're using the same type of the web OS, and it is the Aperture HTTP OS, and the difference for the all domains is only the version of the OS. And the third part is the compromise account, and we're using the SQL injection to test for the all domain in the login page and other page. And the result show that the SMAP and author has compromised the account, and we can successfully do the SQL injection to the both domain. And the next part is the information for the cookies.
we using the tools of nurses. So the number of cookies we obtained for the all domains is 4, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So and other we using the nurses, we also using the birth trace to obtain the number of cookies. And we can notice that the number of cookies obtained using the both tools is different. And the host name we obtained during the penetration testing is same with the domain name. And the next part is fingerprinting, who is to gather the information for the owner of the domain. So we can gather the information for the IP range, address of the organization, the phone number, and email address. And due to the all domains in the same land and it will has the same owner, so for the all information is same for the all domain. So for the last part of the result, there was the vulnerability assessment to the all web top 10. So we can notice that for all domain they will have the same number of vulnerability and is 2. So this the next part is the discussion part. So the first is we can conclude that the all domains are in the same local area network based on the IPv4 address, and therefore the all domains have the same number of ports and the open port, and the number of open ports are different between the command lines and the online tools we're using, and there were many causes to lead to this problem, and such as the cause is manual, the open ports can manually close or by using the window firewalls, and the SQL injection attack experiment we done and successfully carried out in the SMAC and auto domain. So here we provide the prevention method to prevent the SQL injection attack. This due to the SQL injection attacks may lead to the domain unsafer. So the prevention method is validate the user input using firewall or using the whitelist and blacklist for the user input. And the cookies was used for all domain, and the cookies can use to track the user activity such as login, and the user will send the username and the password. So the next part is fingerprinting. We're using the who is to gain the information of the owner for the all domain. So the information we can gather is the name of the owner, the phone number, the address of the owner. So the last part is each domain still has a vulnerability to the OS top 10.
For our conclusion, we found that different tools can use in different situations. Like let's look up command, we can use it for looking up the IP address and make comments to find out the numbers and status of the ports. And the online tools we can use to gathering most of the information such as the domain's name and OS information. And then we can use the necessary software to determine the vulnerabilities of the domains to find out the weakness of the website. And the last, we can find the full suite software to evaluate the security of the web-based application. And we can use the full suite software for the penetrating testing. And then from the activities we have conducted, we found that the result of the open course in command line and in the online tools is different, and this is because some of the ports can be closed manually or can be closed by the firewall, so it will be obtain different results. And then we have find out two of the domains can be compromised for the user accounts, which is the map.uthm.edu.my and the other.uthm.edu.my. And this means that the hackers can conduct SQL injection attacks to these two domains and unauthorized access the sensitive data and the information. And then the cookies found in the domains is it means that cookies are created to identify user when visiting a new website. So cookies will normally contain some information of the user. So when hackers find out most of the as much as the cookies, so hacker have higher probability to conduct cookies hijacking to access the sensitive data or privacy without authorized. And the footprinting yours can collect the information of owners and the network. So hackers, this of the information normally is deleted by the hackers before they're planning the hacking activities. And at the last, fighting to cybercrime is everybody's business. So as a smart user, we have to always be attention and caution on securing our privacy online to make sure that we will not be the victims of the cybercrime. Thank you.